in sport and at home. The use of artificial turf has increased at an alarming rate. Already fully established when it comes to sport, synthetic turf has now moved on into our homes. This technology allows us to enjoy green grass 365 days a year, saving a considerable amount of water and in fertilizing products and pesticides, with a higher durability, guaranteed for up to 8 years and completely respectful with the environment. Artificial turf provides us with real sensations at a low price and with a minimum of maintenance. But most importantly, it gives us the comfort of spending more time with the family. Today, we will visit RealTurf's facilities to get to know how artificial turf is made. In first place, the Investigation and Development Department works to evolve the characteristics of the fibres to offer the higher quality of the final product. The durability, the recovery, the naturalness. This laboratory has the latest testing equipment, the raw materials and the technology to develop products that comply with all the regulations. As a result, this process gives us a final grass that is non-flammable, of great resistance to ultraviolet rays and any type of climatology, and 100% recyclable. The next step is the grass's design. The type of grass to be made is designed taking into consideration the parameters established by the Investigation and Development Department. Here, the colour, type of curl, weight and height that the grass will finally have is set. Once we have the design, let's go to the factory. Firstly, let's see the material that the synthetic grass is made of. These white polyethylene pellets are mixed with these others to give the thread the desired colour. There is a great variety of colours that change according to the final use of the grass. The polyethylene is melted in this machine and is extruded through a perforated steel plate. Those are the threads that will form the grass. A barrel of water cools and hardens them. A machine tenses the threads through combs so that they remain separated. The rollers stretch the threads until they are as thin as natural grass. Next, they are wrapped onto rollers. After, the threads will be gathered to form a unique thread made of various strings. The thread travels over guides, avoiding coming loose, while they are wrapped around a large roller. Now, let's move on to making the turf. It is impressive to see the number of rollers that feed the fabric. It is a giant sewing machine. Each thread arrives in a continuous flow through a series of tubes that maintain tension to their corresponding needle that goes through the backing. Meanwhile, on the inferior side, a series of knives cut the material to the desired size so that they resemble blades of grass. The lesser the distance between stitches, the more the density of the final turf, and therefore more weight and quality. The backing is the name given to the tapestry's base. It is made of a thresh fabric united to a synthetic fabric. Depending on the kind of turf, the backing will have certain specific characteristics for weight and density. In the sphere of sport, sand or rubber balls are added to the artificial turf to increase its weight. Nowadays, curly strands have also been added. Aside from having a much more realistic appearance, it increases the density and the capacity for recovery of the spike. The supervising personnel's work in this process is fundamental to the final quality. All the threads must be of the same size and any irregular stitch is immediately manually fixed. Here we have the material stitched onto the backing. Now all that is left is to finally seal the piece so that the threads remain attached to the base. Through this machine, meters and meters of turf pass through a roller that imprints a sealing layer, what we call the base's finish. Right after, a hot air oven at a constant temperature dries the sealing layer, giving it the necessary consistency and strength. In this process, temperature control is very important as excess heat can damage the material. The backing is perforated to allow the water to drain. We now have our top quality piece of turf. Now is the moment for packing and labelling. Depending on the order, the rolls can be of up to 70 meters. Immediately, the roll is labelled. The barcode it displays allows us to follow the traceability of the product, from its manufacture until its final installation. But before it reaches its final destination, the turf must pass a final quality control test. It is essential to test the resistance to being pulled out and the technical specifications. Depending on the final use of the turf, it must meet the established quality requirements. We have arrived at the storage area. It is impressive to see the immense columns made by the rolls of turf. From here, the turf departs to any place in Spain or the world. The operator's skill in handling and managing these gigantic stacks of turf that await their final destination is admirable. There is a lot of turf to enjoy. Artificial turf has managed to become part of our everyday life. RealTurf, your brand for artificial turf.